Okay, welcome to your weekly power yoga practice. I am so happy you are here with me. Looking forward to a nice variety of things today. We've got a lot to work through. I have high hopes for the variety of sequences and poses that we're going to make it through. So we'll just see how it goes. I want to invite you to make yourself comfortable on your mat, in your space. If you are the kind of person who likes to listen to music while you practice, please feel free to turn something on. I don't play music while I teach, but that's just because I don't want the audio to fight with my voice, and so it's not any particular, philosophical preference on my part. And so I invite you to just make your space comfortable for yourself. And that is always the case in any yoga practice is do what you need to do to make this productive time for you. So whatever you need to disconnect, however you need to create and foster an environment of ease, an environment of focus, an environment of clarity, please go ahead and go there. Something that I have been thinking about over the last few days that definitely applies to a yoga practice is this principle of cognitive distortions. You may or may not have heard of that phrase before, but there's a good chance you've used them before, right? Because a cognitive distortion is a psychological term for a pattern of thought that skews negative, a habitual pattern of thought, something that you fall into and regularly make negative assumptions about people's behavior or make negative assumptions about certain circumstances that aren't necessarily true or are only partially true or have biases toward negativity. And there's many examples. Catastrophizing is one of them, where if one bad thing happens, then you assume that the entire day or the entire experience is a failure, right? That's catastrophizing. And one that I think definitely applies to any yoga practice. By the way, I think all of them apply to a yoga practice because if you think about it, they come up in both in our relationships and in our daily lives, but also they can come up in something like a physical practice. And so maybe we'll talk more about cognitive distortions in the future, but I want to focus on one of them called labeling. Labeling is a cognitive distortion that maybe you've used before, and it goes like this. I'm not good at planking. I'm not good at planking. I'm not good at doing push-ups. I'm weak. And you create this label, almost like a little name tag. Hi, I'm weak, and you slap it on your chest. And you let that identity, that label, live on you and follow you wherever you go. And I think you can see the obvious problem with that, because you are different every day. You are growing and evolving. You are not a robot. And if you are unable to do something today, that doesn't mean you will always be unable to do that. And when you create a label about things that you can't do, don't know how to do, then that stalls your growth in that moment in time, and it almost gives you an excuse not to continue growing and not to continue working. And so I invite you to perhaps over the course of our practice together, maybe you can think about poses that you've done or labels that you've given yourself about certain poses. Here's one that really comes up in the yoga world. I'm the most inflexible person on the planet. I hear that all the time because I'm a yoga teacher, usually from men. Okay. If you write that, I'm inflexible, on a label and stick it to your shirt, you will always let yourself believe that about yourself. So that is just food for thought for you today. I hope that you perhaps might think about that in the context of your yoga practice, and also perhaps now that we've talked about it today, that might be something that you start to look for in your life outside of your yoga practice, and in your relationships with others, and in your self-perception, because one thing that is true of all the cognitive distortions, and I talked about this earlier, is that they're incorrect. They skew negative, and they're usually based on incomplete information. And so don't we all want to dig up the truth? Don't we all want to discover the truth? Don't we all want to discover more of ourselves? I know I do. And so perhaps there's more to you today than the labels that you've given yourself. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm excited to work through some poses together and work through stretches together, and to dig deep and perhaps to challenge some of those labels that we've previously given ourselves together today. So go ahead and move to your mat if you haven't already. Lie down on your back, close your eyes for a moment. And then just for fun, go ahead and do this with me. Make some fists and then release. So ball your hands up in a fist and then extend the fingers. So clench and unclench your hands. And then do the same thing with your feet. I know you can't really make a fist out of your feet, but can you clench and unclench your toes? And then all that full range of motion that you're exploring with your feet, now bring that up to your wrists and your ankles. Wrists and ankles. And now just explore what would it look like to, on your back in a relaxed manner, start to mobilize and bend your elbows and your knees. Your elbows and your knees. Just kind of explore that hinge joint that is your elbow and your knee. And while you're here, you might as well start to deepen the breath. All right, so we're traveling from the extremities to the midline. So bringing it up to the hips, go ahead and hug the knees to the chest and start to draw some big knee circles, starting to move the legs as one unit here. And now plant the feet on the earth and step the feet pretty wide and just drop the knees to the right, to the left, right to left. And as you start to mobilize and rotate the hips in their sockets, maybe start to explore what organic movement would look like with your shoulders. Something that feels really nice for me now is making little snow angels on the floor. So you might try, if you've got the space, what would it feel like to make some snow angels on the floor? Just with the arms. And now go ahead and relax the legs. So you could have the legs straight or bent. It's up to you. And now bring the arms down by your sides. Just relax them down onto the earth and relax the shoulders. And now on the inhale, bring the arms overhead so you're pointing the arms toward the sky, and then keep traveling them up overhead till they touch the earth. So it's like you're making little rainbows with your fingers. So inhale as you bring the arms overhead. Exhale as you close the arms down to the earth. Inhale, arms up overhead, and exhale as you close them back down onto the earth. Take it through a few more of this full range of motion. Connect with your breath. Connecting the breath to the movement. And then relax your arms down by your sides. Or if it's comfortable for you, you might try goal posting your arms. And so having the backs of the hands on the earth, bend at the elbows. And so you're externally rotating the shoulders here. And just for a moment, let your only movement be nodding turning your head to the right, to the left. Just kind of almost massaging the back of the head into the earth. Really become aware of that sensation of being supported by the mat beneath your shoulders, the backs of your arms, your mid-back, your whole backside, the soles of your feet.
All right, hug the knees to the chest and start to roll up and down the length of the spine, up to the neck, down to the tailbone, up to the neck, down to the tailbone. And whenever you're ready, cross over the ankles, flip up onto a tabletop position, and start to rock and roll your way into a cat-cow sequence here. So as you inhale, lengthen the sternum forward, gaze goes up, and as you exhale, round the spine, tucking the chin to the chest, forward, backward flexion of the spine. Best way I know of to warm the spine and start to incorporate healthy, nourishing movement and warmth from the inside out. As you kind of start to warm into it, you might start to incorporate some forward, backward flowing shapes here as you take it through a few rounds of cat-cow. I like to do the forward, backward, or you might even want to try doing some side-to-side movement, getting a little lean and stretch into the right side, left side waist. Or you can have fun with it. What's an organic movement you can take here with your spine, with your rib cage, your shoulders, your hips? Maybe something that you've never done before, or at least you've never consciously done before. We make all sorts of unconscious movements throughout the course of our day, but the yoga practice really is, by definition, intentionally moving while thinking about what we're doing, right? Because it's about engaging the mind and the awareness in with what is going on with our bodies. Just take a moment. Let's take a look at the wrists, the hands. If it's comfortable for you, flip onto the backs of the hands so that the fingers are pointing towards your knees and you've got the backs of your palms on the earth. This might be uncomfortable for you depending on your hip flexibility, and so it's up to you how much, or your wrist flexibility. So it's up to you how much body weight you put on the backs of your hands here. Maybe try rocking a little bit forward, backward, just kind of adjusting the sensation for yourself. Nice. All right, bring it back to a kneeling position here. Sit on the heels and have the tops of the feet on the earth here. Clasp the hands together and just kind of take a little roll with the wrists. All right, from this seated kneeling position, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Feel your spine grow right out of your tailbone. Exhale, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Relax the hands down into your lap. Palms up or down. It's totally up to you. And just take some nice, easy, feel-good movement with the neck here. So rolling the neck to the right, to the left, dropping one ear towards your shoulder. I've noticed sometimes with our necks, we can wind up being either one of two things will happen. Either we totally forget that we have a neck and we just focus on our spine, right, and focus on all of our other joints and then leave the neck just immobilized. Or sometimes we can be afraid of our neck. Sometimes we can, I think in the West we have this story about like you have to protect your neck and you never want to put any weight on your neck because you can break your neck really easily. And it's true that necks break, but it's also true that your body is strong, and as long as you've never had like a disc injury or something like that, you don't need to be precious about your neck. Your neck is muscled, and it is a well-engineered portion of your body that supports your head, which is kind of heavy, to be honest. And so your neck is quite strong. So don't be afraid of your neck, please. All right, take it forward to tabletop. Curl the toes under, take an inhale. And on the exhale, straighten the legs, lift the hips, take it back to downward facing dog. And for this first downward facing dog, you know what to do. Bend and straighten the knees. Press one heel, then the other into the earth. You're almost massaging the balls of your feet onto the earth, getting a little wave here in the arch. All right, while you're looking back at your feet, step your feet pretty wide on the mat, bend the knees, drop the hips low, and take it down into a squat here. So have the heels on the earth. This is our first squat of the day, but I think we're going to do a lot of squats today, in part to access a little bit of mobility in the hips, but also because this is power yoga, so, moving the larger joints and muscles of the body is a great way to build some heat. So we might as well do that now. Reach the arms up overhead for a little counterbalance. Take an inhale, and on the exhale, stand all the way up. Keep the heels on the earth. If you want to adjust the distance between your feet, please feel free. A good squatting stance is going to be slightly wider than hip distance apart, but most critical is keeping your heels on the earth. And so if your ankles could use a little bit more flexibility, this is a great way to train that. But if you find that your heels start to come off the earth, then only lower your hips to the point that you can keep the heels down, and then that's the bottom of your squat for today. All right. On the next inhale, reach the arms overhead, settle the hips down below the level of the knees if you can. Drive the knees out to the sides. Activate the outer hips. Stand all the way up. Let's do 10. 1. With breath. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. Last one. Very nice. All right, since it's kind of fun to do some repetitive types of movements with breath to start to warm the body, now we're going to focus on our hamstrings here. If you've ever done something called a good morning, this is what we're going to do is kind of a warm-up movement that starts to wake up the hamstrings, but we're going to do it with a slight twist here. I want you to have a soft bend in the knees, and I want you to keep that soft bend in the knees. It's not a squat. It's not even a quarter squat. It's just not a straight locked-out leg. All right, so a soft bend in the knees, which keeps your joints engaged throughout this movement here. All right, and so have your hands on the hips for these first couple. On the exhale, hinge at the hips and bring the upper body either parallel with the floor or just hinge forward until you feel a pulling in the hamstrings. Inhale to stand up. Exhale to fold. Inhale to stand. Exhale. Inhale to stand. Let's do one more. Exhale. Inhale to stand. All right, if that felt pretty good, you can do 5 more of those together. If that was really super easy, we're going to dial it up by reaching the arms overhead and doing all the same movements. Exhale to hinge forward. Inhale to stand. Exhale, soft bend in the knees. Inhale to stand. Exhale, hinge forward, tailbone points behind you. Inhale to stand. Exhale. Inhale to stand. Maintain tension in the core. Exhale. Inhale to stand. Nice job. Go ahead and swing the arms for me. Swinging the arms right over left, left over right. All right, come on up to the top of the mat. Let's take it through a few half sun salutations. After we've kind of warmed up the hamstrings, this is a great opportunity to, again, sync up the breath with movement. So from the top of the mat, here we go. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull the breath to heart center. Another half sun salutation. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms, reach from the center. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Let's take it through a couple full sun salutations. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Plant the hands, step it back to plank, and with control, bend the elbows toward the feet as you lower. On the exhale, go ahead and lower all the way to the earth for this first one. Inhale for cobra, just peel the chest and shoulders off the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 long, slow breaths in downward facing dog. And at the end of that exhale, glance up at the hands, walk, step, or float your feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull the breath to heart center. Let's take it through another full sun salutation, and this time, if you prefer to take chaturanga, which is to lower halfway, and then press up into upward facing dog, which is a little bit more intense of a back bend, please be my guest. And then for the duration of our practice together, it's totally up to you how you dial up, dial down, any of our movements. You know this already, but everything we do is optional. And so I'm just here making suggestions. So here we go, a full sun salutation. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Two long, slow breaths in downward facing dog. At the end of that exhale, glance up at the hands, walk, step, or float your feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, hands to heart center. Very nice. So we're going to do another full sun salutation, this time adding some leg lifts and a little bit of work in downward facing dog just to continue waking up the shoulders and the hips. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow, your choice. Follow your breath. All right, from downward facing dog, shift your body weight to your left foot and inhale, lift the right leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, right leg down. Left side, inhale, lift the left leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, left leg down. Back to the right side, inhale, lift the right leg. This time, bend the knee and try stacking the right hip on top of left. Keep the elbows straight as you're here in downward facing dog, and don't sacrifice that nice straight upper body. Exhale, downward facing dog, other side. Inhale, lift the left leg, bend the knee, stack the hips. Keep the elbows straight again on this side. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right, back to the right side. Inhale, lift the right leg, lead with the heel. And on the exhale, can you tap your knee to your nose? Shift your body weight forward over your wrists. Inhale, lift the right leg again. Exhale, knee to nose, or maybe even tap the knee to the forehead. Big curl here up at the top of the upper body. Inhale, lift the right leg, and exhale, step it through next to the right thumb. Lower the back knee to the earth, and then just climb up onto your front knee here with your hands. Just get some support here in the low lunge. So the back knee is on the earth, the back foot is on the earth. I don't know about you, but when I do those leg lifts and then I crunch my knee to my nose, it's like I just break out in sweat everywhere in my body. I don't know why. All right, bring the hands back down to the earth, curl the toes under, step it right back to downward facing dog. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, knee to nose, and maybe even knee to forehead. See if you can find that crunch. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step it through. Lower the back knee to the earth, uncurl the toes, and if you've got your balance, climb your hands up onto that front knee. Just to wake up that right hip flexor here. And to take some body weight off the shoulders, off the hands. All right, bring the hands back to the earth, curl the back toes under, step it back to downward facing dog. Glance up at your hands, walk, step or float your feet, top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. All right, so from the top of the mat, take your right foot and just step it back behind you, coming into a warrior two, more of a triangle stance. And so if your front toes and knee are pointing straight toward the front of the mat, so you're externally rotated, but your back foot, your toes are pointing laterally to the side. All right, and so you've got a turnout in your left hip is the idea here. And that's important because we're going to take it through some windmill movements here. It's basically like a moving triangle pose. Just starting to, again, start to really wake up the inner thigh here. So what I like to do is reach the right fingertips up toward the sky. And if you shift your gaze toward the sky, then it helps you keep your shoulders stacked as you slide your left hand down toward the shin, toward the foot. You don't have to be able to slide it all the way to the earth just yet. We're still warming up. And then come back up out of it, back up to standing. All right, so you're bringing your hips back below your shoulders. All right, one second. And now slide the hand back down to the earth. Gaze goes up. Inhale, back up to standing. Exhale, back into triangle pose. Inhale, come on up to standing. Exhale, down to triangle pose. Inhale, back up to standing. Let's just switch right into it on the other side. So rotate the right leg out from the socket again, the toes pointing toward the back of your mat this time. Both legs are straight. Plant the right hand on the hip, left fingertips up toward the sky. Lower the hand toward the earth on the exhale. Gaze goes up. Inhale, back up to standing, sliding the hips back under the shoulders. Exhale into that triangle pose. Inhale, back up to standing. Activate the core as you lower. So we're waking up the obliques here. Inhale, back up to standing. We slide the hips out from under us, and then we slide the hips back under us as we move the upper body in relation to the legs. All right, so since we're here in this wide leg stance, bring your feet to parallel. Have a soft bend in the knees, and let's take it into a really super wide squat. So your heels are on the earth, your hands are planted on the knees, and just start to drop one shoulder then the other in horse pose. Breathe into the inner thighs here. All right, now press back up to standing and come on back to the top of your mat to take it back into a standing warrior sequence. So let's take it through a dancing warrior flow. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Follow your breath. 2 breaths in downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, step it through next to the right thumb. Find your balance, and on the inhale, rise to crescent lunge. On the exhale, spin the back heel down, take it into warrior two. So the front heel is in line with the arch of the back foot, and the front knee is pointing in the direction of the front toes. Flip the right palm up, inhale, reach forward, and on the exhale, leave the legs where they are and take it back to a reverse warrior. Gaze goes up, right fingertips toward the sky. Inhale, back to warrior two. Exhale, circle the hands to the earth, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Two breaths in downward facing dog. Left side, inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step it through next to the left thumb. Your inhale draws you up to crescent lunge. Find your balance. Exhale, straighten the back leg. Sink into warrior two. Gaze is forward over the left fingertips. Flip the left palm up. Inhale, reach forward. And on the exhale, reverse warrior. Gaze goes up. Keep that knee bend in the front knee. Inhale, back to warrior two. Exhale, circle the hands to the earth. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. At the end of that second exhale, walk, step, or float your feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. All right, so we're going to add triangle pose and half moon pose to this next sequence. We're just jumping right into it. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step it back to plank. Move through a flow. Follow your breath. Inhale, lift the right leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, step it through next to the right thumb. Crescent lunge. On the next inhale, move with your breath. Exhale, warrior two. Flip the right palm up. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, reverse warrior. Gaze goes up. Inhale, back to warrior two. Now straighten the right front leg. Reach the right fingertips forward toward the front. And exhale, find triangle pose. All right, so this is already pretty familiar because we've been here once before. It might be a little bit wider stance than those triangle poses that we took during our warm-up stage, but the same mechanics are all here. Both legs are straight. The hips slide toward the back of the room. The crown of the head slides forward. So in effect, the spine is more or less parallel with the earth. All right, glance down at the earth, and we're going to transition into half moon. Any way you like to move there, please go ahead and go there. I like to lower the hand to the hip just to get the upper hand out of the way. And then once I have my balance here on my front leg, both legs are straight in half moon, then I re-add the front or the upper hand. All right, so I'm finding my balance. I'm looking at the earth. Left shoulder stacked over right, left hip stacked over right. Take an inhale. And then with control, I'm lowering back into a warrior two. Take an inhale. Exhale, circle the hands to the earth, step it back to plank, flow. All right, so that's the sequence. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, step it through. Crescent lunge on the inhale, find your balance. Exhale, warrior two. Flip the left palm up, inhale, reach forward. Exhale, reverse warrior, gaze goes up. Keep that balance, gripping into the earth with both feet. Inhale, back to warrior two. Straighten the left front leg. Reach the left fingertips forward, triangle pose. Pause for a couple breaths here in triangle pose. Sink into it. Find your balance. Find that openness in the inner thighs, the hamstrings. And you know this is the transition pose into half moon. So with control, transition into that single leg balance. Focus, breathe. Pick one point on the earth that's not moving. Take an inhale. Then on the exhale, lower back down to warrior two. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, circle the hands to the earth. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Lower the knees to the earth. Take it back to child's pose or a kneeling position, whatever would feel best for you right now. find some stillness, find an opportunity to still the joints and muscles, even though there is still a tremendous amount of movement and activity going on in your body. Sometimes you can observe that best by removing the external movement. Focus on your breath. Focus on slowing your breath and lengthening your breath. All right, and then from this kneeling position or from child's pose, go ahead and bring it up to tabletop any way that's comfortable for you. We're going to get back into our squat for a few moments for a couple little sequences here. So any way that's comfortable for you, I'm just going to step one foot forward and then step the other foot forward and find my way at the bottom of a squat here. So go ahead and hang out here. This time you can bring the elbows inside of the knees. Breathe into the inner thighs here. So again, spending time at the bottom of the squat is healthy for so many reasons because so many muscles and joints are involved in the ability to squat, and also this is one of the most functional movements the human body can do, right? You go from standing back down to sitting or standing down to the earth, getting up off the ground and getting down to the ground, essential human movements, and the squat can play a central role in that. If you can do crow pose or want to try crow pose or are working on crow pose, now is a great time while we've been hanging out at the bottom of the squat. We've probably built some nice, opened up some nice flexibility in the hips here. So plant the hands shoulder width apart and lower the upper arms just inside the knees. And then as you clamp the knees toward one another, try to shift the body weight forward onto the hands, 1 foot at a time, right? I made it look easy, but that's because I've been doing it a lot. If you can start to shift the body weight forward just 1 foot at a time and keep your back toes on the earth, then you're getting somewhere. And then maybe after trying it a few times, you can pick up your second foot, all right? And so maybe try taking a couple little crow poses here. Something that you'll notice is that it takes a tremendous amount of clamping ability between your knees because your knees are clamping toward one another on your upper arms here in crow pose, right? And so something that happens a lot of times with beginning crow pose practitioners is that the legs collapse, right? The legs collapse down off of the shoulders, down off of the arms. So really, it's all about really clamping the knees toward one another. So establish that strong inner thigh activity right there. Okay, let's get out of the squat, shall we? Whew. So come on back to the top of the mat. Step your feet together. And on the next inhale, let's sink into chair pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Now inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step it through next to the right thumb. Inhale for crescent lunge. Exhale, hands to heart center. And now with control, shift your body weight forward into that front standing leg. And can you come up to standing with the front knee up in line with the hip? Straighten up the right standing leg so the quadricep is engaged, pulling up on the kneecap, the hips are level. Take an inhale. And with your hands at heart center, transition to a warrior three. Your standing leg stays straight. Now your left foot is pressing toward the back of the room. Inhale, extend the arms forward into an extended warrior three. Woo. And on the exhale, come back to a forward fold at the top of the mat. So both feet down, upper body just relaxes over the legs. And maybe this can be an active forward fold where you're stretching out your hamstrings, or it can be more of a relaxed forward fold. I'm going to take a relaxed one with the knees bent and the upper body just draped on the legs. That feels really nice. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. All right, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Crescent lunge plus the warrior three. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step it through. Crescent lunge, find your balance. And then you know where this next balancing pose is going. So you know that you're going to have to shift your body weight forward with a little bit of momentum, but that doesn't mean that you're like hopping forward, right? It doesn't mean that you're out of balance. Can you bring the hands to heart center, and can you find a transition that is as balanced as possible, right? That you don't feel like you're flailing or flinging your body forward, but that it is in control the entire time. All right, have the front knee up in line with the hip. Left leg is straight. Hips are level with the earth. Take an inhale. And with control, transition to a warrior three. So the standing leg stays straight. Right foot kicks back behind you. Foot is flexed as though you could stand on the back wall. Inhale, extend the arms overhead, biceps by the ears. And exhale, forward fold at the top of the mat. Let's move with control. Feet together, toes, heels touch. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Chair pose on the inhale just to finish this out the way we started. And exhale, hands to heart center. Let's do that sequence again. That was fairly challenging, and I feel like that might have a different sensation the second time through, especially, we were talking about labeling, especially if the first time through you were like, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is super hard. I can't do warrior three, right? We engage in those cognitive distortions all the time. And what are you doing when you say, I'm so bad at warrior three, or I'm so bad at crow pose? You're just writing it on a label and you're sticking it on your chest. And why would you do that? Because it's not true about you every single day. It might not be true about you next year. It might not have been true about you last year, right? So rather than making some label about yourself that is true for all time, let's just approach what's in front of us today, shall we? All right, so from the top of the mat, chair pose on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth. Take it through a flow. Inhale, lift the right leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, step it through next to the right thumb. Crescent lunge on the inhale. Warrior three on the exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, extended warrior three, arms forward. Exhale, forward fold at the top of the mat. Move with control. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the earth. Take it through a flow. Left side, inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step it through. Crescent lunge on the inhale. Hands to heart center. Warrior three on the exhale. Inhale, arms extended. Exhale, forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift.
Exhale, fold. Chair pose on the inhale. Come up to standing on the exhale. That was nice. Good job. Release the hands down by your sides. Flip the palms forward. And just breathe. Notice the breath lengthening and slowing. Notice the heart rate slowing. That is your body recovering. And recovery is an essential part of any human process. We are always, every day of our lives, operating at some point in the cycle of work and recovery. It's not possible to constantly be working. It's not wise to constantly be recovering. And so knowing when to work and when to recover, maintaining balance and healthy balances between those two, knowing when more recovery is necessary, and knowing when it's time to get back to work, those are all essential life lessons that we can learn here on the mat, as mediated by the joints and muscles of our body. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step it back to plank. Take it through a flow. Inhale, lift the right leg. And on the exhale, step it through outside the right pinky. Lower the back knee to the earth. We're going to hang out here in this low lunge. I like to press the knee away from the midline to create a little bit of a rotation in the hip. All right, now heel toe that right foot back underneath the right shoulder. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, straighten up that right knee. Roll the toes toward the sky. And fold forward over that front leg. Relax the back of the neck. Relax the shoulders. Relax the low back. All right, and slowly press back to a downward facing dog. You can take it through a flow if you like. I am going to skip it. Left side, inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step it through next to the left thumb. Heel toe it out to the side, so outside the left hand. And find this nice low lunge here on the left side. Nice hip opener.
Heel toe that foot back underneath the shoulder. Take an inhale, and on the exhale, shift the body weight back toward the back of the room. Straighten up the left knee. And just relax and melt over that front leg. All right, let's slowly come on out of it. I am going to use the wall next to me as a little bit of an aid for a stretch for the inner thighs. I know that not everybody has access to a wall, but you could do this against the side of a couch. You'll see once I'm doing it that you might be able to get creative as to how you utilize the wall. But really, the idea here is that it just stops your legs from falling forward. I got this from my friend who did ballet growing up, and she said it really helped people develop the splits because you can hang out here for a long time, right? And so the idea here is that if you just lie down on your back, scoot your tailbone against the wall, so your spine is perpendicular to the wall, and now you bring your legs up, and it's kind of like a legs up the wall pose, except now you get to drop your legs wide. And so what's cool about this is that it's like a wide leg stretch, but it's passive, right? And you don't have to be like seated on the floor, walking your hands forward, trying to like fold your upper body down in this pancake stretch. You can just let gravity take over and stretch your inner thighs here. So if you have access to create a little bit of support, like a wall or a bookcase or a piece of furniture that will support your legs and allow them to stay straight so you can just relax into this stretch. We're going to be here for a couple minutes. I feel like I could stay in that pose all day, but I suppose we should probably come out of it. So you might want to help your knees and legs come out of it and support your knees because you have probably been in this pose for a while. So come out of it slowly. And then roll over to one side and come back to your mat, back to seated. So we just spent a lot of time in a pretty extreme like external rotation, and so just to kind of neutralize your hips in their sockets again, just take a nice comfy pinwheel movement here, dropping the knees to the right, to the left, like a windshield wiper. All right. Next, we're going to take a just a nice and easy double pigeon, pose here. And so I like double pigeon because you get more bang for your buck, right? You're getting work on both of your hips at the same time. And so stack your shins, one on top of the other, knee on top of ankle, ankle on top of knee is kind of the idea. And if this is just like super duper easy for you, then you might hinge forward over your legs. But you should feel this as a little outer hip stretch for yourself. And, you know, sometimes when I'm feeling particularly loving toward my feet, I'll give myself a little arch massage while I'm sitting here in double pigeon because, you know, it's right there. Might as well give my foot some love. I don't know anything about what is the word? Like the practice of like massaging the sole of your foot and having it impact like your internal joints and organs and stuff like that, but I figure it can't hurt. Reflexology, that's the word. I do think those are interesting though. Like anytime you see like the foot chart showing the like zones of your foot, and if you have pain on a particular part of your foot, you can, like, it's your pancreas or it's your heart or it's your liver or something like that. Go ahead and switch legs. And if you were doing a foot massage on the other side, you might as well do it on this side. All right, let's go ahead and come on out of it. Lie down on your back one more time. Let's close our time together with a nice resting pose. So any pose that allows you to maintain stillness, any pose that allows you to close your eyes and breathe naturally and calmly and easily, that is your resting pose today. And so that might be reclined on your back, that might be seated, that might be standing, that might be continuing some other stretches if that would feel really nice for you. But do come to a resting pose, a pose that allows you to breathe passively with these deep quality breaths
that you have been cultivating over the last few moments. Shavasana. And slowly begin to reawaken the body. Wiggle the fingers, the toes. Roll out the wrists, the ankles. Reach the arms overhead toward the back. Point the toes toward the front. Take a deep breath and a full body stretch from fingers to toes and everything in between. And then on the exhale, roll over to the right side. Then slowly press the earth away. Make your way back up to a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you. Close your eyes when you get there. Lightly rest your hands on your knees. And come back to the foundation where you started. A foundation of awareness, of considering new thoughts, of letting go of old ones. Real work that occurs in a moving meditation practice is the mindfulness and the growth that occurs in our awareness and our ability to think and our ability to respond. Everything else is just extra. On the next inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through your practice. Have a beautiful day. Namaste. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.